Islam is the last of the Western religions that I would like to discuss. This is a photo of the Kaaba, which is a cuboid-shaped building at the center of Islam's most sacred mosque in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. It's considered to be the most sacred location in Islam. Wherever they are in the world, Muslims are expected to face toward Mecca when performing prayers. You've probably seen this practice in some of the movies that you've watched in the past. Islam is the second largest religious group in the world and is the dominant religion in the Middle East, Northern Africa, Pakistan, Indonesia, and Malaysia. It was founded by a man named Muhammad, who claimed to be visited by the angel Gabriel during the 6th century CE. One who adheres to the Islamic religion is called a Muslim. Islam is considered a way of life and is based upon the writings of the Quran. Muslims believe that they are directly responsible to God. Muslims worship in a mosque. An imam leads prayers and delivers a sermon each Friday. There are 4 main sects: the Sunnis, who form the largest group, the Shiites, who form the second largest group, the Kharijites, and the Sufis. Sunnis by far make up the majority of the Muslims who live in the US. There is also a small percentage of Shiites. This photo is of the beautiful Shah Mosque, located in Isfahan, Iran. Muslims believe that the one true God, Allah, is basically the same God of Judaism and Christianity, but that his word was incompletely expressed in the Old and New Testaments and was only fulfilled in the Quran. Their primary doctrines center around monotheism, or the belief of one God, and a final judgment. There is no organized priesthood or sacraments, but there are 5 ritualistic observances that Muslims are expected to engage in on a regular basis. These are termed the 5 pillars, and include faith that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, prayer or salat performed at dawn, noon, mid-afternoon, sunset, and nightfall, while facing Mecca, which can be seen in this photo, almsgiving or zakat as an offering to the poor and as an act of piety, fasting to fulfill a religious obligation, earn the pleasure of Allah, wipe out previous sins, and to appreciate the hunger of the poor and needy, and last, a pilgrimage or Hajj to Mecca, if at all possible, at least once during one's lifetime. In Islam, food is to be treated with respect. Muslims are expected to share it willingly and avoid wasting it. The hands and mouth are washed both before and after meals. The left hand is considered unclean because it has more of a role in cleansing following toileting in Muslim countries. Consequently, the right hand is used for eating. Eating is considered a matter of worship in Islam. Muslims are expected to eat for survival and good health. Self-indulgence is not permitted. Eating to 2/3 of one's stomach capacity is encouraged. Muslims take this very seriously. I once had a Muslim patient who had become obese, and he was extremely concerned that his condition and eating habits were displeasing to Allah and felt that he might lose his salvation because of it. Islamic dietary laws referred to permitted foods as halal. It's helpful to remember this term by noting that halal is spelled with an L, which is the first letter in lawful. You can see here various halal symbols that you might see on permitted foods. Haram is the other term used for foods considered unlawful or prohibited. Since haram contains an R, it may help to remember this term by thinking of the word restricted. Haram foods include all swine, 4-footed animals that catch their prey with their mouths, birds of prey that seize their prey with their talons, and any byproducts of these animals, such as gelatin and the enzymes used in making cheese. This, of course, probably sounds familiar to you, since we learned previously that these are also restricted foods in the Jewish religion. As in Judaism, improperly slaughtered animals are also restricted. Slaughtering rules are similar to those of Judaism, but the person who kills the animal must repeat the words, "In the name of God, God is great," at the instant of slaughter. Many Muslims will consume meat slaughtered by Jews or Christians as long as the required rules are followed, but meat slaughtered by anyone else is prohibited. Fish and other types of seafood are exempt from this process. As in Judaism, all blood and blood products are also prohibited. Alcohol and drugs are also prohibited, unless medically necessary. In addition, Muslims are encouraged to avoid smoking and stimulants, including coffee and tea. As with most other religions, however, only the most devout really do follow this practice. The most significant fasting time in Islam is the month of Ramadan, which begins with the first crescent of the new moon during the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. If you look closely, you will see the new crescent moon in the upper right-hand corner of this photo, which was taken on the first night of Ramadan. Since Ramadan is dependent upon the stages of the moon, the dates change from year to year. On fast days, Muslims abstain from food, drink, smoking, and sexual activity from dawn until sunset each day. At sunset, the fast is usually broken by taking a liquid along with an odd number of dates. Muslims often gather together for breaking the fast, and you can see the dates used for this purpose in the middle of the cloth in this photo. Besides fasting at this time, Muslims also attempt to abstain from all bad deeds, stay humble, engage in almsgiving, which is giving to the poor, engage in prayer, and read from the Quran, which is pictured here. All Muslims past puberty, which is considered to be age 15, must partake in this fast. There are some instances in which people are considered to be exempt, however, and these include individuals with a recoverable illness, people who are traveling, women in the midst of pregnancy, lactation, or menstruation, elders who are physically unable to fast, those considered to be insane, and those who engage in hard physical labor. If one is exempt, however, he or she must make up their fasting days prior to the next Ramadan. There are also a number of other fasting days that are encouraged, but Muslims never fast excessively. Feast days in the Islamic religion include Eid al-Fitr, which takes place at the end of Ramadan and is the feast of fast breaking. Muslims also give alms on this day. Eid al-Adha is the festival of sacrifice. Shab Barat is a feast day whereby Muslims feel that God determines the actions of every person for the next year. It is marked by fireworks. Nowruz is New Year's Day and is primarily celebrated in Iran. Milad an-Nabi is Muhammad's birthday. Muslims also feast at birth, after marriage, when a child begins reading the Quranic alphabet, for the circumcision of boys, at harvest time, and at death.